Well, there we are, or here we are, looking at it, and there we go. We're out live, man. We're out live, and doing good. Hi. It's Grandpa Coyote coming to you once again here from where? Crestone, Colorado, in the United States of America. You know what? My coffee cup is empty. It just really sucks. I need like fuel from a fire. So forgive me for a sec. I'll be right back. You can look at my pretty scenery here while I'm off uh, getting a drink real quick here, babes. Yeah. There. Now we got some water in the old coffee cup. That's better than a poke in the eye with a sharp stick, they tell me anyway. So we've started here and we're like, let me do this thing here so I can keep track of what's going on. I don't know why that thing goes out all widescreen like that, all warped out. It feeds in good, but the minute I click it up, my face stretches fat. Can't believe it, man. It's sillier than heck. Well, here in just a few minutes, I'm going to drag y'all over to my neighbor's place, and we're going to hang out and BS with some of my friends while they're doing a little musical jam up there too. It'd just be a minute or two. Well, I'll be, a few minutes. I want to head out there, babies. But here's to you. Rock and roll can soothe your soul, and marijuana makes you want it. I know there's big controversy now about pot, especially since we've legalized it here in Colorado, and now the whole United States wants to come live here. And I don't blame you. It's a great place. But babies, we got to get it legal everywhere. This is a spiritual, sacred herb. I mean, and we're only beginning to discover the incredible properties of it, let alone the more or less, industrial uses for the hemp plant, which is its cousin. Uh, you can't get a finer fiber plant. Makes paper, makes cloth, makes everything. Make fuel, make oil, heals cancer. I mean, guys, we've been misled for a long time. I mean, we in the 60s knew that they'd been lying to us about everything, and that's why we didn't listen to them when they warned us about marijuana. I can still remember, I didn't even know what the hell it was. I was like 16 in high school in Utah. Well, I guess it was right before I dropped out. And they brought this movie to school about this kid that, we all had to sit down and watch it, of course. So this kid takes one toke on a marijuana cigarette, and for the rest of forever, he's done. He's history. It's like, oh, jeez. You know, well, you knew that. Well, actually, we didn't know that was a bunch of crap. I remember one time I was like 14 years old. I didn't even know what any kind of drug was. I knew I didn't like doctors and I didn't like pills. I already was well established in that. My best buddy had just died from doctoritis. I won't go on to describe it. It was a painful thing for us all. It wasn't just me who was suffering. Gee mo. But anyway, long story short, before he died, a couple of years, me and my other buddy, because that buddy had moved away, his parents were scared to death of me, man. I was leading their son down a tawdry path. They moved away, protect his hide. And probably just as well, too. But oh, the doctors got him. I was so sad. Miss him to this day, man. But I know he's still hanging out here and pushing for us. In fact, I know he's back, and doing good things for himself and the rest of the world. So it's an awesome thing. Some of us cycle in and out pretty quick, and he's one of them. He's very adaptable, good guy. So anyway, we were talking about one of my first experiences with drugs. I was 14. I was gonna run away, join the circus. There was a big top circus in town. And I went down, talked to the boss people, and got myself hired. Me and my buddy both, it's the other buddy. And we went home, packed our bags sneakily, of course, and snuck out and headed for the circus. Got there, we was ready to go, man. And couldn't find the boss, man. Kept looking, and everybody saying, well, we ain't saying he was over there. He's over there. He's over there. Finally, we come around the big top backside of it there, facing the railroad tracks where it's kind of, you know, hidden from view. And there's the boss and this other guy putting something in their arms with needles, shot needles. And I'm like, ah, ah. Needless to say, I didn't join the circus. I didn't know what that was all about. I didn't even know what heroin was. You live in Utah in these little farming towns, you grow up kind of sheltered in a way. Though I had been around enough, but still, it was the first time I'd ever seen that stuff, man. I was like, wow. And, Mary Jane, she didn't come take me by the hand until I was about 19, 20 years old. But boy, when she took me by the hand, we fell in love. Whew. Ah. And I've gone years with her and I've gone years without her. And, you need a little of both in your life. You do. I'm not advocating, forever and ever, but I'm telling you, as a habitual sacrament, that you do every evening or something, or every morning when you get up, or whatever, it suits you to be doing, as long as you can get around the legal parameters of it in your area. That's why we need to legalize it everywhere. It's just unsensible. I mean, they're putting people in prison for victimless crimes and so forth. I mean, for sharing the love of Mother Earth with her children, basically. Even though they may be doing it for greedy purposes, when the criminal elements involved, there's usually a little greed involved with that. Not in every case, but most cases. So that's the other thing that legalization does. It gets it all there above the surface. We're still in kind of a phase change here in Colorado. The old school people kind of in shock because it's legal. And we're so used to it not being legal. And having to hide everything. Well, some places you could be a lot more open than others. I remember Boulder was pretty dang open about marijuana. Most of Colorado is, but it's been de facto legal for years here. So all we really did with legalization is let the government get their fingers in it. But we also made it legit, brought it above board, made it respectable. And the propagandists are just having a fit. There's a huge industry built around this funny little weed. I mean, as far as law enforcement, I mean, there's whole divisions that are dedicated to busting marijuana fields and shit. I mean, and courts and lawyers, judges, jails, and private prisons. The list goes on. Then the families, dependent family. I mean, the list goes on and on and on and on. It's all about control. Who's in control? Well, Colorado says the people's in control. And while we still have kind of a Gestapo government, every state does, it's a whole lot less than a lot of places, I'll tell you. And we're a whole lot freer just because of it. And I just want to personally thank all the people in Colorado that voted for it, whether you smoked it or not. The numbers of smokers here are pretty high. These days, they've all gone to those oil drops. Everybody loves the oil drops. Quite the fashionable thing. I'm old-fashioned. I still like to toke. There's just something real pleasant about smoking that stuff. So, and I'll tell you, quite honestly and from my heart, if you're on a spiritual journey, I don't know how you can do without it. Living in the elements that we do. Now, I know there are beings gifted enough to do it, and I admire you for it, but babies, most of us, it's a part of our essential core. It connects us with the earth energies in ways that no other plant will. You could eat a piece of corn, won't do that for you. Smoke a little puff of Mary, and you're back in tune with your inner being, your core consciousness. It helps, and it's not absolutely necessary, and it will bring you to the place where you graduate. But you'll always smoke a little in honor of this fine lady with the green leaf plants, man. I mean, there's a reason why she's called Mary. And that's another thing. This plant is a part of the reconnection with Source, which is the divine feminine. The womb from womb, got womb in that womb, from which everything comes, And Mary Jane is one of those elements that it's kind of like being a Hindu and studying your navel and going all the way back to the primal beginning. It's a very similar energy to that. Now, not everybody's going to have these kind of experiences with Mary Jane, but they will now, because the consciousness is changing. And those that have used it as an escape tool will find they've escaped into truth and become better people for it. Nothing here is what it seems to be. We're always being misled. We're always being lied to. We're always being disillusioned, or illusioned, I should say. Probably disillusioned a lot too, by something. It's really a mystery school of sorts. And unraveling this thing has taken us a long time. We took it pretty damn serious. We still do, a lot of us. And live it too hard, too fast, too mean, too rugged, too everything, without feeling, without thought. Just plow ahead. Do it to it. Feels good. Go for it, Well, hell yeah, if it feels good, do it. As long as you ain't hurting nobody doing so. Holy cow. But it's all about reconnecting with Source. And this is the base reason, beyond all the profiteering that's gone on, the base reason that Mary Jane has been unacceptable in society is because these beings have been busily devouring the Divine Mother since their first invasive moment here on this planet Earth. Now, I'm not talking about human beings, but it works through human beings this way, so I'm talking about those that control them. Yeah, I know. You don't believe it. You're not controlled. Go back to sleep. Talk to somebody else. Tomorrow you'll change your mind. You'll come back asking about it. Because the main reason I'm doing this live broadcast tonight is to share my heart with you, babies. And let you know that what we've been looking for a mighty long time is just happening. Just about to happen, but it is happening. It's in place already. We're rolling into it. And I don't want anybody to be afraid. I want you to notice the fear you already have. Oh, Okie, gee whiz. Notice the fear you already have and release it because you feel good inside. Because you know that what's happening is for the betterment of all. And even though you might lose a little something in it, you might gain a whole something in it too. Hang on just a sec. I got to shut loudmouth up here. Oh, you're a pain in the butt, ain't you? What's with all that shit, huh? How can we have a civilized conversation where you're going to sound off like that? Hey! He's such a boy. I'll be right there. I'm going to get him in my little lap. He'll be a little quieter. Come here, buddy. That's what he does when he wants attention anyway. He starts barking, So then the old man knows that the kid is unhappy and he needs some comfort, huh, kid? Yeah. He's a cool little dog. You guys would love him. He's only been with me for a few months now, but it's like we've been bonded forever. He's quite the guy. I never knew these little dachshund could be such great little characters. This guy's got some personality and some soul and some heart, man. He's an awesome dude. I hope you guys have animals in your life of similar caliber. They're just so enlightening. Okay, so it's all about awakening into the Divine Mother. Now, I know a lot of you have misunderstood, don't really know what that means. Hell, those that think they see it clearly don't know what it means yet. I mean, it's coming to us in the most unusual but very gracious of ways. And we're just going to work ourselves into it. Because you got to recognize that in this world, there has been energy for quite some time now that's been against the Divine Mother. That's just plain, pure, and simple despises her. There's an old long legend to that. There's a story to it. And I'll tell that to you sometime. I'm not going to right now because, well, we got other things on our mind. But, just a part of our little preemptory coaching here. Just want everybody that's here in the pool of awareness catching on, catching up, moving ahead, moving on. I just want you guys to know what's coming, what's here, what's happening. So you don't, so you can recognize it and more wholly accept it as it comes into you. It's been rolling today. I see the preliminaries of that blue-green wave I've been talking about. It's real and it's got some substance to it, baby. It's rock and roll change is happening. So essentially what I see coming right in a short amount of time, could be 3 hours, could be 3 months, but a short amount of time, is a genuine calming amongst the souls because of this huge wave of love that hits the planet. It is hitting the planet now, but it will be intensifying as time goes by. And as it does, it raises the levels of consciousness of every being that lives within this paradigm and beyond. Because what happens here happens there too, kind of. We set the tone, we set the tenor for the rest of creation as occupants, as children of this great Mother Earth who has given birth to all life. Now, I know that seems far-fetched when you look at it from a scientific point of view. But when you look at your heart, you don't need the science to tell you what's real. The heart already knows. Then it reveals it to you an element at a time. Sometimes you get these huge epiphanies, Things just burst into your consciousness, and all of a sudden wow, how did I miss that one? Well, because we were kind of dumbed down. We've been controlled by these exterior beings. And we're not exactly kicking them off the planet or running them out of the place, because there are brothers and sisters too. And we brought them here for the intent purpose of bringing them through this ascension, this expansion with us. We're not leaving anyone behind, least of all those of the darker variety, because everyone is life, everyone is love, everyone deserves this. All have served well the universal heart, no matter the appearance of the role in which they're serving or have served. I hope you can dig that. In other words, we are all saints of one sort or another as human beings. Each of us has a burden, a cross to bear. All of us, individually and as a collective. And we've borne this burden rather well, considering how severe it's been. Oh, man. Could write a song like that, couldn't we? Speaking of song, we probably ought to head up the hill and see what's going on there. Let me go first over to Facebook and see what's happening there and make sure everybody's hearing us and receiving us and having a good time. Because I don't have any way to check chat here on YouTube at the moment. I'm sure that's coming back sometime. Or maybe I have to pay them money to get that, but we'll figure it out. Yeah. So let's see over here if folks are watching. I'll get over here, and there it is. All right, let's do a refresh here and see if anybody has commented. If you haven't commented, if you're listening in, you haven't commented down here on my Facebook page. If you're there, underneath the live thing, let me know if you're hearing anything. I don't see anybody commented there, so if you could, just please let me know that. Let me know we're getting out there. Let me check my control panel while I'm here. Oh, good. There we are. Awesome. Awesome. Thank you, John Kennedy. You wear a righteous name, dude. I love it, man. Can't beat that. So where are we going with this divine feminine? Folks, I just, first we have to recognize what's been going on. If we can get to the core of things, if we can get to right where it's happening, see what's happening and see it plainly, then it's already changed. Now, part of this conscious sweep I'm talking about that's coming in short time is an awareness of truths. Like I told you in that little 18-minute video I put up, as this consciousness comes, there'll be no more lies and facades, and the illusions will crumble and fall right before your eyes. These are some of the most major and huge changes you could ever imagine coming into human behavior now. Not tomorrow, not yesterday, now. It's happening, babies. So all you got to do is stay in the swing. Just keep swinging. Rock back and forth. Swing, swung, swing, swung. Don't, go backwards, go forwards. Be what you are. Let it come. Give yourself, man, I have been almost a recluse for the past several months now, but especially this past few weeks since the 21st of December, whatever the hell we call it. It slips my mind right now. Isn't that weird? Solstice, that's it. Solstice, yeah. Since then, it's been intense. Well, it was a little bit before that, but since then it's just been building. But it's not intense like how it used to grind us down a little bit when it was so intense. It was like make you irritable. Well, there's been those elements here too, but those are just so we'll deal with and address with the behaviors we've created around our particular orneriness, Time to change all that. But this will bring us to an awareness of because we'll be able to feel deeply, wisely. No one can fool you. If they're creating an illusion and a facade, a lie, you feel it. You don't understand, you don't see, because it's untruthful. You can't relate to what's being said. And in this way, do we undo all that's been done to humanity. Every blasted bit of it. It just has to be this way. Because otherwise, it's too God-blessed much work to bring it in. So there has to be this rise in consciousness. So here goes. And as I've said, under the surface. This is Mother Earth calling her love back to her, that which she has felt so separate from. And this begins the flow that brings the second sun, that brings the universes back together again. So then when that happens, and that's further down the road here a ways, but when that happens, this is the beginning of it. When that happens, there's no place to die to anymore, folks. And there's nothing to be afraid of. We finally came to that place where we no longer have to feel the pain, the anxiety of that separation. The shock of the first death has been in us since the beginning of that kind of time, of that age. And it's never left us until now. It's been inside each and every one of us. The source of constant pain, source of whatever conflict you've ever had inside, or whatever numbness you've lived in too, because you have to go numb in order to live and be in that. And so we've all done it. And there was a time in this human existence, in this denser frame that we are now, there was a time that it became so horrible for the divine feminine here on her own mother planet, on her own heart, in her own little divine matrix, that she withdrew her feminine children from us, and for quite some time too. And what human beings were left here were a pretty lonely lot. Probably like 600-800 years in terms of time, but you got to understand that's relative. 600-800 years then might have been like 30 minutes now. I mean, it's incredible how it changes over time. It just does. But anyway, for quite some time, because it had gotten real chaotic when we first started to experience death and all of the illusionary separation inside of ourselves. You know, we became polarized, and we became not just male and female, but we became, you know, fevered, enraged, you know, passions we had no idea how to contain or we'd never, as well prepared as we weren't prepared for this. So humanity, and I'm talking many thousands of years ago, humanity was like just not in a place where it could do that. You know, it got completely out of hand. The first death led to a series of incredible murders, violence, sickness, perversion. I mean, it was insane. We could not control it, could not contain it. I mean, what we have now, yeah, it's pretty damn dark and pretty damn stupid. But those times were far more rugged than these. So the woman left. The feminine departed this planet. Most of them died off. I think a few of them went into hiding, probably in inner Earth, to preserve the species. But for the most part, they were gone, and men couldn't die. They were just living long lives. And so, you know, we just basically did dumb work, served in forms of enslavement for a while, kind of to punish ourselves, kind of to help ourselves wake down, to go down as deep and as dumb as we could, as thick as we could, and just get it over with, which we did. It took a few hundred years and then a few thousand, but everything came back together, you know, but not ever again. We reformed it after that. That's when we decided to structure this thing into what we call relationships and marriage and shit like that now. But it still remained quite tribal, and it was still pretty wild. Incredibly so. But the hurt was so honest that we really had to stay dumb for a long time. just to let that flow through our flesh, our thick, dumb flesh, as an experience, as an energy, as something we'd allowed ourselves to inhabit. And this kind of assimilation sometimes takes a long time. When you're going down, it's a little harder than releasing it, letting it go when you're coming back up. Because when you've been down in it long enough, which we finally have, here at the end of these dark ages, then you springboard out of it pretty rapidly. The deeper you get, actually, even though our bodies have reformed, our societies have reformed, practice cruelty's gone underground, well, except for wars and shit. Well, in street, well, I guess it's everywhere, man. God, it's right there in your own house. It's a sad thing, baby. But it's time for it to go. We've learned our lessons with it. We've learned them well. And we've learned that we've been contained and controlled by energies that we couldn't even see. Pretty clever crap, really. Now, you got to understand, it's just, the list goes on and on. But what you'll begin to see in these truthful ages is the savagery with which these beings who have controlled us and contained us and been our teachers and trainers as well, how savagely they've hated the divine feminine. They never wanted her to come back. They liked having dumbass slaves that couldn't do anything but work, No distractions with growth and shit, So they've kind of resented that ever since, and they have severely disregarded this mother planet. I mean, the disrespect they show for her is just symbolic of the disrespect they show for the Divine Mother. They despise her. They feel rejected by her. Something had happened long ago and far away, in another place, another time. But it exists here in this time, and this is where we're working it out. And that's where it came from. And that's what you're going to begin to see, is how despicable the practices are here that we've taken into ourselves. The laws, the rules, the regulations, the societal norms, how abnormal, how harmful, how disgraceful they are in many ways, how disrespectful they are towards especially the feminine. I don't know if you really realize men are taught to disrespect it in themselves, to fight it continually all of their life. That's why many men die of heart attacks. They're tearing themselves apart inside, trying to suppress that feminine energy. Because it lives in everybody. It's not just in females, it's in males too. It's like male energy's in females. I mean, in a way, it's not even the divine feminine. It's simply the nurturing side of our love. The part of us that is the most caring. The part that will bring forth life and nurture it into being, even through the most disgraceful, disrespectful, disgusting of times and moments. She never left us behind. She never leaves us behind. But these dudes that we enticed in here had a journey with her inside of themselves, of course, but we're their agents consciously in a way, and we worked for them. But now our contract with them is fulfilled. We've brought them home to their heart. This is another reason why you're going to see such sweeping change here. Those moments we've long sought after, those of us who are humanoid beings of light, I've been working on this one for a long time. These were some stubborn brothers and sisters that really needed some understanding. Speaking of the beings that have controlled us and contained us, and somehow we've managed to give them just that. Taken unfathomable amounts of time to get that process over with, but we've done it. We're here now. We've got an excuse to party, and soon it becomes very real in your life. It's not just something some old man's talking about over here on YouTube and other places. It's not just a bunch of spiritual hooligans pronouncing great things and shit. You know, I mean, it's none of that. It's just us being us, becoming us, rejoining eventually with the fullness of our spirit family, our star family, those who we've ached for ever since we left them behind, kind of. When we came here, like I've told you before, they've worked with us through a parallel universe. And yeah, that's where you go when you die. Go back over there, get refreshed, and pop back through over here. And that little shimmery wall still, I reckon. Something like that's there. But that's the very veils we're thinning. There's a reason why the ground crew came over here and has done what it's doing. Speaking of us as humanity. And now we're stepping into the times where finally we get the reward, the payoff for all of the forms and expressions we've taken here, for all of the experience we've served in. Now we rejoin with our heart. As we do, all the life in the universe joins with us too. Because we're all interconnected. We're all one being. One huge being. Each of us a little speck of dust inside of that being. But every speck of dust so greatly appreciated and so nurtured. These are things too on the other side. Now as you see how the despicable darkness has despised you, you begin to see the light side of things and how all of these energies, because once you get past the initial shock of seeing what's been going on, then you start to see the higher elements being served. And how really the only enslavement here is to the heart, the one heart in all beings, the one heart consciousness in everything that is. That's love, pure, simple, sweet love. Not many of us know how to live in it just yet. We're getting there. But you got to understand, our entire imprint was redesigned long time ago. And the things we feel of as love quite often are only small elements of it, not the fullness. We've been denied access to parts of our person that would keep us informed in every moment what it is to be this person, what it is to be, how to properly form these expressions in feeling this sensuous love and so forth. How to reach down inside of your heart and be in communion with all. How to touch someone. Truthfully touch someone. And feel it mutually. And have everyone feeling that too. Some pretty phenomenal stuff here. Many of you have approached these things. Many of you are door openers, gateways that start these energies in motion. And probably you felt pretty bad about it at one point or another. But now you can learn to forgive yourself for everything because you've been in service to it since the day your feet hit the diaper and even before that. Even before you were conceived. A lot of this you designed right into it and stepped into it. It's your own story. You wrote it, along with a bunch of others, of course. God, I'm sitting here reading mine going, holy shit, you mean I did that? No way. So, guys, those of you who are here to set the pace, set the trail, I just want you to be ready. Willing. Notice that you're going to get some distractions, people might even die in your life right now. Things like that. I mean, they're going to try and pull you away, but the contrary energies are getting less and less. So there'll be less of that. Just that stuff comes along, deal with what you have to, but stay steady on the path. Don't let anything take you away from it. Not for a second. But you need to be there, and the rest of us need you to be there too. So here we go. Rock and roll soothes our soul. And marijuana makes you want to. Okay. Yeah, what a little kissing guy he is, Chiso. Oh, the old man's such a sucker for a dog, I'll tell you. Well, this will rearrange you. But the one thing we're going to get out of all of this is an immediate peace for everyone. That right now is unfathomable. I know it is. But that's the end result of this huge wave of love that's coming in now. And I just had to get on here where I could spend a little more time and talk a little more thoroughly about it and let you know the way to go or what's happening. You know what I mean? Because I'm an opener. I'm a gateway myself, just like many of you are. We all have our function and role here. We all do something to keep the old ship sailing. So here we go, rock and roll. On with the show. It's going to be a good time had by all. Now, let me see here how we could rig this. If you want to ask me some questions, there's supposed to be a dang chat line up here, but haven't quite got that one figured out, do we? Let me look over here, see what I can do. Let's see. There's Grandpaw Coyote. And let's see. No place to chat there, so I guess if you want to ask me anything, I'll check over here on my Facebook right underneath the graphic for the link for the live show here. And if you want to ask anything or say anything, comment or anything, I'll get this link under the live show. There it is right there. It's put me a comment in there. I'll check that periodically. I'll just pull it up every now and then. Mostly I have to watch the outgoing panel, so I make sure that we're still rocking and talking. Okay? So now we're going to take a little teeny bit of a break. Well, not just yet. Hang on. But we are going to go over to the neighbors and party down for a few minutes and talk to some of the local folk and have a good time. I had to pull myself away from the party to come and set this up and get it going. I aimed to have it up there already, but of course I didn't get that done. Sometimes I'm like a little old lady, I'm just slower than the 7 years itch sometimes getting some things done, especially when I'm trying to get out of here. I'll go through the door 3 or 4 times before I get everything in my pockets and my backpack and stuff and remember everything. I'm incredibly slow at many things, but then things are changing quick, so maybe that ain't going to last too much longer either. Maybe I won't be such a putter around. I know my health has improved greatly lately, and I see even today great change inside that, letting go of energies have been stuck in there for frickin' ever, man. I'm telling you, whew. Speaking of which, I need a little tobacco offering. Let me go make one here. I'll talk to you while I'm doing it. I can do that. Got to set Okie over here on the bed for a minute, though, so I can make it. So hang on. Mr. Okie. Okie from the Skokie. Here's my little buddy. There you are. There. So, Let's see. The rain in Spain falls mainly on those who don't have umbrellas. However, most folks never carry umbrellas, so they get to know the rain in Spain real personal like, and I think they feel highly honored as such. And don't you? That's Grandpa's little bit of nonsense for the night. Come here, kid. Come here, buddy. Come on. Yes, boy. He's just happy as a clam if he can be with Daddy. He don't want to be anywhere else, doing anything else. Whatever Daddy's doing, that's what he wants to do. For the most part, anyway. Every now and then he wants to go chase a rabbit or a squirrel or something, of course. But he's a dog. That's what they do. Ooh. And you have to keep them away from some stuff because you don't want them eating that. Gives them upset tummy and they stink up the whole house, etc. But both my guys have been pretty good today. I had them up at the party a while ago and they were real chill and, everything was pretty cool today. And I hope you had a good day out there too. And I hope none of this is too shocking or upsetting to any of you. I mean, I wouldn't be to me, but then I'm kind of used to it, Sometimes I forget that folks really don't see it the way I do or haven't seen it, haven't had the same experience, etc. I mean, I know it's a silly thing, but you just expect people to know. And, of course, not everybody does, Some of us are just starting to figure it out. You feel better now, buddy? You're going to lay down and go sleepy bye? Huh? Is that what you're going to do for a minute, or you want to come over here? You want to come over here? Come on, buddy. Yes, my boy. Had to get down and get himself a drink of water. You know how it is. Kid's got to live, man. Ooh, that's a tasty one. I buy this organic tobacco out of Kentucky via Des Moines. Oh, I tell you, our distribution system is crazy, but it's really good anyway, and it's a whole lot less money than paying $6, $8 a pack for cigarettes nowadays. Well, I wouldn't do that anyway, and I wouldn't smoke them anyway. I mean, I do once in a while. I grab commercial pack once in a while when I gotta go traveling or something. Don't have time to roll them, but if I've got the time, I always roll my own. And it doesn't take me that long. I've been doing it for years now and got practice. But I get the kind with filters on them because I like that, with the cotton filter. Yeah, that's organic. And of course it says Zen on the wrappers I use, Z-E-N. Of course, what other brand would I use? I mean, But I always considered tobacco a part of my living too. It's another one of those sacred herbs that tends to get abused. You notice that's how they practice the disrespect of the divine, is by getting you to abuse sacred things. But I've converted my use of this kind of like to each one's a smoke and prayer. And and since I have a pipe, then I can transfer that pipe energy right into my cigarette, and each time I smoke it, it's like making that same sacred offering. So instead of going downhill, health-wise, I'm going uphill, because each one of my cigarettes is a sacred offering, Anything you do in your life, and I don't sit there and necessarily think that or make any kind of ritual out of it. It's just something I feel. I just feel that respectful towards it. And so I'm gaining ground. It doesn't harm me, man, I've been bitten by poisonous snakes and spiders with very little effect. Sometimes it has had some effect, but for the most part, I've been very blessed. I've learned how to neutralize toxins inside of myself. Uh, there were a few attempts on my life in different times and through poisons and energies and shit. And here I am, still alive and talking about it. And we're not going to go into those moments right now. I don't want to even remember that shit. But it has happened. And I've seen it, and I go through my stages too, where sometimes I'm far more effective in that area than I am others. I remember I got bit by what was it, brown recluse or something. I actually had some pain and agony out of that one, but it went away pretty fast. Sometimes it heals quick, sometimes it don't, but mostly it just doesn't affect you. If you're in an honoring and a respectful mood inside of yourself, you can honor the anxiety that caused that spider to put that poison into you in the first place. You've just neutralized the effect. And it won't harm you. Won't even cause you to jitter, won't give you a fever, won't make you sick or ill in any way. Got stung by a scorpion once, wasn't sure what was going to happen to me. I lived to tell about it. No real ill effects, a little bit of slowing down for a bit, not much. Thing that slowed me down, oh God, there was one 2 years ago, but this was something I had to learn. But I got bit by something then, knocked me on my ass for about a year. I was having difficulty doing anything. But I got through it. I come out of it. So, I mean, I do have my moments where sometimes medicine's not as effective as it could be, darn. That's why I'm glad we're moving into these times and now where the energy's far more powerful, far higher, because now I'll have a little more respect for those forms of life, and I'll have less effect from whatever toxicity they may have borne to me, you see. My, putting it in. Kiss the girls and make them cry. And when the girls begin to sing, don't you dare show me your ding-a-ling. Oh, grade school stuff, man. We had some real wild sayings back then in them little farm towns. You got to do something. I mean. Wow. So I guess that's the other side of me I'm just showing at you, too, is like, the more human side, So we'll get away from all this bullshit about guru and stuff and just realize that dude's just a dude walking a path like I am. And look at what he does, what he knows. And son of a bitch, that must be in me too. Something like that's going on, babies. I want to make that real clear to you too. It's not about anybody showing you the way. It's about you finding it reasonably, with reasonable means within yourself. About you awakening to your own personal power. Which is to say, learning that element of love that you represent in this life. Finding out who you truthfully are. Letting go of the illusions. Well, we've all been working on that for a long time, and many of us have made some great progress. But here comes the one jump we've needed, the jump start, man. Our battery's not necessarily dead, but it doesn't have sufficient charge to get us there, so we're getting a recharge. Jump start. So let's call it that, just a jump start. That's what it is. Jump start in consciousness. Because the ascension will follow soon thereafter, I'm sure, at some point. We probably won't even notice it. By the time it's here, we'll already be there. That's just how we live. That's who we are. It's what we do. We trick ourselves into being good and doing the right thing. Sometimes by doing the unconscionable. It's the damnedest thing. Coyote medicine, the coyote way. It works. It's difficult, but it works. Babies. You should try a dose of it someday. You might like it. I just happen to have some here in a baggie somewhere. That's what we should be selling here anyway. Doses of coyote medicine. You know, if we're gonna sell anything, that's what I want to sell. I don't like to sell myself because I'm a pretty expensive hoe, and I don't think most of you could afford me. I know I sure couldn't. But babies, it's just all about settling down and raising up a family. But not the kind that old Johnny Winter used to sing about, but the kind that comes from your heart. It's kind of what we've been doing here is kind of a microcosm of what we truthfully do. So when we, breed each other and make babies, we're kind of like, in a way, doing what we do, but just in a dumbed down way. We can recreate anything, create anything, any moment, any energy, any life we want to live, anything we want to happen comes into being. Some of you have noticed that you've been thinking about things. Maybe you hit a depressed point in your life and you had a depressing thought. Somebody around you acted on it. You didn't tell them. You didn't say it to a soul. Thoughts have power, baby. That's why we got to be kind of objective, kind of conscious. But we've settled that down. We're settling down the parts that make you violent. The parts that have been so frustrated. I don't know if you noticed today, but there's less pain inside. Almost none. In fact, in many of you, I'll bet there is none. It's that done with already, and the wave's yet to hit. Isn't that cool? It's how it works, We release ourselves as we understand. Now, in order to understand yourself, this is why I coach on the darker side of things a little bit, because that's what you're going to see in yourself when you start seeing yourself. That you see the darkness first, always. Darkness leads to the light. But the reason being, it needs understanding. How do you understand such vile things? You go deep within yourself. You feel what it's feeling in you. No matter what that might be. It might be something really distasteful or something you're afraid of. Something that's off the charts. Go there anyway. Go and see. See what it needs. What does it truthfully need? What is this diverted thought based on? Go deeper. You'll start to see what it really needs. And then you will allow it to have what it needs. And then we're ascending. Because we just learned how to respect all life. We learned how to create. How to recreate. How to bring forth consciousness in the darkest of beings. There's power in that. Babies, and that's what we're here doing. All of the rest of the game is pure enjoyment. Our real function was to reach down into the darkest of places and find love. Wild, 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 son of a gun. Well, let's see if I can successfully transport this thing from here up to the upper realms of the neighborhood here. I'm going to have to step behind a closed door for a minute. I wished I had some music to play for you. I don't. I mean, I got plenty of it, but I just don't know how to put it up here, and I don't want to get in licensing trouble with YouTube. You know, they're finicky about rights these days because of the ASCAP stuff going on. So we have to be a little careful about what we do here. Musically, I don't want to step on anybody's toes, but you know, my honest opinion, music is meant to be shared far and wide. It's not there so some asshole in Wall Street can make $1 billion off some punk kid that knows how to sing. That's just obscene. But it's also part of what we're changing now, so I'm not bitching too loud. I'll let that one go. It's one of my pet peeves in this world, you know. You want to share with the people, you got to pay your dues to the devil, you know. That's the way it's been, more or less. I mean, it's a metaphor, but it's a truthful metaphor, let me tell you. Jeez. Hey, I love you guys, and let's do this thing. Let's get this thing upstairs and see if anybody's still playing music or hanging out or what's going on. It's going to be dark as we're headed up there. I'm going to have to hang things here and there on my computer so I can make it portable. Hopefully, oh, that's right. Shit, I can't do this. Well, maybe next time we'll do this. I'll get it set up there, and you'll get to meet some of my neighbors, and we'll have some fun. Or I might just shut this broadcast down, take my equipment up there, and by the time I do that, it's going to be over with this week. So we're going to do it next week. So tune in Sunday evening next week. Watch for Grandpa's advertisement or whatever you want to call it. Announcement. There we go. Jeez. Got to get back to earthbound terminology. I forget it sometimes. Oh, and a special thanks to Kelly Lamb, Sarah Hughes, Karen up in Ontario, Margaret, yeah, Mary down in Alabama, and Rebecca down in Alabama. Now, if I'm missing somebody, Marie in Brazil, Anna in Portugal, who else? Oh, that fine person in Madrid. Oh, and Chantal. My goodness, she's gone places. Friend of mine from way back. And just all the rest of you. Oh, and Amy Lanning. And God, guys. The list goes on and on. So, and Javon Roberts. And Barb Wired, as she calls herself. Wow, she's wired all right. What a lady. You know, and I mention you guys just out of the deepest respect and honoring of the beautiful souls that you are. And these are just a few that I've run across here in this world that are just so righteous, so right to the bone. You know what I mean? I mean, they're still human beings, I'm sure. Everybody's got their issues. But, man, most of the people that I have on that Facebook list, wow, we got quite the crew over there, man, I tell you. And I think we are going to be gathering this summer, you know. I think we're going to take up residence in a campground somewhere and party down a little bit this summer. I'm encouraging everybody to join me at the Rainbow Gathering, which should be the first week of July 1 through 7. Now, they don't announce the exact location. All I know is it's supposed to be here in the Mountain West somewhere. Could be in Colorado, Utah, or Nevada, but any one of those states. So let's hope they do it in Colorado, you know. But if I find out as we go along that it's more convenient, it's going to be too far for us to do or something, then we'll establish a place here in Colorado to rendezvous, And I imagine it'll be mighty close to Crestone. Because that's what I plan on doing after the Rainbow Gathering, is coming back here to Crestone and gathering with you all here all summer long. We should just make this our party plan for the year. Also want to do a little traveling as this time goes on, and I may be able to do a little of that this summer. Get out and say hello to you here and there across this land, but we got some pretty big changes to get through first, and that's going to change the way we do things. So who knows what we're really going to be up to 3 weeks from now, let alone 3 months or 3 years. So babies. So let's see. Anything else on my list? I should have wrote this down. I never do. I just sit down and do these things. Just start talking to you, and your little heart calls to me, and out it comes. Gee whiz, I need to really get. I could be given thanks and greetings and salutations for the rest of the evening if I really started going down the list. Oh, and Mary in Boston, you too, baby. You rock. Stay steady on the path. It may not always lead where you think it does, but just stay steady on the path. I know you're getting there. Oh, and Sarabella down in Virginia. Beautiful being, beautiful presence. Oh, and what's that other young lady down a little further into Virginia there? Oh my goodness, one of my best friends. Well, you guys know the old man's, a rusty nail. When you live like in the flow, to recall instant facts sometimes takes some doing. I don't have as great access to those memory banks as I once did. You kind of hang things up on a hanger as you go through time, and it's there, and you can go back to that time and find it. But it's a little different kind of searching than memory banks. You know what I mean? It's more of a visual thing. So names and even sometimes numbers don't stick too well, but usually numbers do, but names don't for some reason or another. I want to call her Dawn Wells because that's who she reminds me of, that actress that was Mary Ann on Gilligan's Island. But anyway, she's a sweetheart too. Who else do we? Oh, yeah. What's my friend down in Tennessee? No, you knew him. Joyce. Yeah, Joyce in Tennessee. You rock, baby. Shoot. I probably tucked in and out of your place 3 or 4 times and snuck right by you, hon. I do get down in that, or I used to before I retired. I did get down in that country every now and then. I love the backwoods of Tennessee. Beautiful country. Not someplace I'd want to live just yet, but beautiful country. Just awesome. That's one thing I love about this Turtle Island, this great America that we live on, is I don't care where you are. There's something pretty spectacular right there with you. You know what I mean? The geography of this place, let alone the energy, is a high vibe. It's why we've managed to get away with as much as we have. Want no one to worry too much about the tyrannical forces on this earth, as we say, even as we speak. Those elements are disempowering. They're changing their ways. They're backing off. The threads are coming undone. If you see it coming undone in yourself, then you know it's coming undone in the world. So just let it undo and be cool, okay? It's like I've been telling you all along. It's something we fall back into. Like that, babies. It's not something we dive into, force ourselves into in any way. It's something we just slow down enough inside, get still enough inside in that loving way, in that heart, that it catches up to us. And there we are. Boing! Springtime in the Rockies, baby. Right here in the middle of winter. Why the hell not? Starting to act like that out there weather-wise lately. It's warmed up here. I hope it's warming up over where you are. I know even the Floridians were bitching about the cold this year. I'll tell you what, I'm going to leave this thing running. I don't know how to put up any kind of text or anything. Dang, I wished I had a little more control over this thing. We'll work on it. We'll get better at it. You know, YouTube doesn't have the facilities some of the other channels do. But babies, it's a whole lot easier to do to get on the air, and it gets a wider reach, you know, right now. Oh, I am starting a radio show, I think, where we're talking about it on another network. I'll be on, it looks like Tuesday nights for an hour right now, but I think that'll rapidly expand to 3 or 4 hours a night. That's where I want to be. And I want to be doing that here on YouTube too simultaneously, but we'd have to work out the licensing rights, you know. But we get that covered. Shoot, yeah. Let's do it, babies. Grandpa on YouTube every night or every morning or something like that, you know. I'm a middle of the night guy. When I've done radio shows, that's when I've done them, is in the middle of the night. That's when I feel most comfortable behind the microphone, you know. Because I can feel your presences more easily, you know. There's not so much to interfere, you know. So I just reach out, or you just reach in and touch, and we know. You know what I mean? Just like we're doing right here, right now. Oh, babies, touch me. Well, let me roll back here and make another cigarette. Shoot. If wishes were horses, then beggars might ride. If wishes were horses, the animal might still have its hide. And I might be freezing because I'd have no coat, because I never would have killed that poor old Billy Goat. Another one of those things from my past, I think. I don't know where the hell that fits in, but it did. So I know I can't just leave this camera rolling and go get a guest to come down here and talk to me. So what I'm going to do is, you know, I'll probably shut it down here in just a little bit. Then I'll go back up to the goings on, and I'll see if anybody wants to come down here and say howdy. If they do, we'll put up a little splash. A flash splash. But I think I'm just going to schedule this again for next Sunday night. You know, that's what I think I'm going to do. Probably figure 2 hours, and we'll just, you know, have a good time. But I'll have it set up there next Sunday. You know, I'll be a little more organized. Takes me a little time to get things right, you know. God, it took me months to get this equipment together just so I could do live video. You know what I mean? I bought 2 computers. Finally, the second one worked, you know, but I had to buy a RAM for it to make it work. But I got deals on everything, so, you know, I'm not using the most upscale of equipment, but baby, it does the job, and it does it beautifully, and I'm real happy. And the videos I've been turning out just tickle me pink. They've just been coming out real pretty, you know. I like it. I have to admit, hey, hush, don't do that. Just because those guys are barking don't mean you have to. I think that's time, babies. I really love you, and I think I think I've conveyed what I needed to convey this evening. I just want you to know I love you, silly kids. And it ain't just me. You know, there's a whole paradigm behind me, a whole other universe that you're about to step into, a place in time where universes join and the realities one. Love you guys. Take care. Okie loves you too, man. He doesn't mean to be such a brat. He just can't help himself, okay? So we'll talk to you real soon. Have a great evening, babies. A really great one. Now I find out how to shut this mother off. There we are. Take care, babies. Rock and roll soothes your soul. Yes, I do.